of PE classes that you can sign up for. And for you guys, I will be teaching the body and mind wellness class. So we'll focus on how our mental health and our physical health kind of connect and how we can take care of both of those together.
Awesome, thank you. So then next we're going to go through our School of Business and Communications, and representing our business pathway is Ms. Haverman.
Hi guys, my name is Miss Haverman, and you won't see me as a freshman most likely. I teach classes in the business and communications pathway that deal with marketing or entrepreneurship. So if you have some sort of plan to maybe own your own business one day, you will run into me in those entrepreneurship and marketing courses your junior and senior year.
Awesome. And then Mr. Calloway, Mr. Dr. Calloway will be joining us. I don't think he's hopped on yet, but he will be representing our marketing and communications, and he will teach our freshman tech core for our business and communications pathway, and he also teaches our sports broadcasting classes. So next, let's go through our School of Human Services, and with our service industry is Miss Abbott.
Okay, hi guys, I'm Mrs. Abbott and I teach the foods classes here at Winnetonka. So like Foods for Life is like a basic beginning class to teach you all about cooking. And then we have International Foods, which explores foods from around the world. And then as you get further along, if you want to do more advanced classes, we have Pro Start, and that's where you can learn more advanced cooking skills, and then also about the restaurant business behind the scenes, running a kitchen and things like that.
Thank you. And then with public service, we have Miss Lee. Oh, Miss Lee, you're not mute. You're still muted. So Miss Lee will be teaching our freshman tech core for our School of Human Services. She also teaches our personal finance classes right now, so you'll get lots of her throughout your years. And then with our School of Design, Innovation, and Technology, with our STEM strand, we've got Mr. Lay.
Hi, Mr. Lay. Currently, I teach the PLTW engineering classes, so your intro to engineering design, principles of engineering, classes like that. If you, as you get older, even your digital electronics. But I will also be teaching your technical core class in the DIT pathway, and where we will introduce where technology comes into many different parts of the many different careers, whether it be based in almost all facets of new careers that are developing. So we want to introduce you to those and kind of show you where technology will come into play with those.
And then for our creative design strand, very familiar face for several of you, Mr. Elam.
Hello, I'm Jason Elam, and I get to teach here at Maple Park at 8th grade in the mornings. I also teach at the high school. Then I work with the top choirs, Spectrum of Sound, Cardinal Gold Singers, as well as our beginning choirs, which are bass choir, treble choir, and varsity treble is one of our upper groups as well. And hopefully one of the things we're going to be accomplishing through those classes is training your ears if you're interested in going into sound production or recording engineering, things like that, helping you get an idea of what a good balance is like.
Thank you. And then we did have Mr. Calloway, who has already been introduced, that got to hop on, so he's waving at you all now. You'll get to see, several of you guys will get to see him in your tech core next year, which we're excited about. And then the other person that we have joining us today is our teaching and learning coach, Miss Foreman. You want to say hey, Miss Foreman? No, know that she can hear me. I think she's got someone else with her. That's okay. She's a great resource for all of you guys. Anytime that you need help, she is always happy to reach out. So we're going to start with a couple questions that we got last week. As you guys have questions, please throw them in the chat, and then we're going to go through some careers that you guys have asked about and what pathway they might fit in as well. So the first question goes to our School of Health and Wellness. And someone had asked, do you have to get a certain grade in math or science to be a part of this pathway? Mr. Jansen, do you want to go with that one for us?
We do not have a certain grade requirement for any of that. It's totally up to you guys as 8th graders. You are just choosing what you want to learn more about and what you want to go into as a career pathway. So we are not about like blocking people or only letting the smartest or the people with the best grades. That's not how we're running this at all. It is totally your choice. And then then show us what you can do, and we'll help support you in whatever you choose.
Awesome, thank you. And another thing to kind of tag on to that, if you want to take AP classes, you will have the same AP offerings no matter which class you're in. It does not matter. And so someone had just asked in the chat what pathway the sound recording class will fall in, and Mr. Elam has already answered it, that it will eventually be put into our DIT pathway. So that's our Design, Innovation, and Technology. So our next question that Mr. Lay kind of touched on, but you want to touch on it again. Several kids have asked if our Design, Innovation, Technology is all about technology, or do they have to really be interested in technology to be in there?
You don't have to just be about the technology. What we're going to focus in on is how technology and how the developing technologies each and every year, how they pertain to different career fields. So, for instance, like Mr. Elam was talking about within the music field, where does technology come into there? Or it can be about building things in let's say, my engineering classes, or how can we use technology in the different art classes. So we want to take different career fields and see where technology helps those careers out.
Thank you. And Ms. Abbott, you kind of touched on this, but do you want to touch on them again? We a couple people had asked what culinary classes we actually offer.
So we have Foods for Life, which is like your basic introduction to cooking. We do a lot of work with understanding how to keep a kitchen safe and keep your food safe. We do a lot of baking in that first class, and then international foods. We explore foods from all over the world, and we'll cook dishes for those different places across the world. And then Pro Start is the more advanced one, so you have to take the other classes in order to take Pro Start, and that's where you have the advanced cooking skills that you'll be using and learning about the restaurant business, how to run a kitchen if you're a chef or if you're a manager of a restaurant, and things like that.
Thank you. And then the other big question that we had several questions revolve around business. So Ms. Haverman, you want to just talk a little bit about what they might learn throughout the pathway as it pertains to starting a business or creating their own brand and different pieces of that?
Sure. In the School of Business and Communication, you can go two different directions. There's a business direction and then a communication side. And I am going to speak more on the business side because that's the side that I'm more familiar with. But you would take classes that would teach you, like with branding or brand strategy, that would be like developing like a logo for a company and doing the design elements that go into that kind of logo, or looking at a lot of case studies on companies that are really professional, that like Nike. We do a lot with Nike because they are one of the strongest brands out there. So we do a lot of case studies on what makes them good and how we can replicate that in our own businesses or for companies that you may work for in the future.
Thank you. So we did have a question come up, which is which pathway would cosmetology fall under? So thank you, Ms. Foreman, for shouting out human services. And then if you want a little bit more specific in that, it will be into the service industry within that. So I'm going to go through a couple more careers and just have the teachers kind of shout out whenever it's within their school that career would fit in. Does that sound great, teachers? Can we do that? So the first one, where would an interior designer or decorator fall into? Mr. Lay. So Mr. Lay, Mr. Elam over there in design, innovation, technology. Studio, what pathway studio would art fall into? So art would also fall into our creative design within our School of Design, Innovation, Technology. And as I'm going through these, I want to say one quick thing that I'm not sure that has been fully explained to you 8th graders. So next week, you guys are going to actually tell us which pathways you're really interested in. So you're going to tell us if you really want to be in the School of Design, Innovation, Technology, or the School of Health and Wellness, the School of Public or Human Services, or our School of Business and Communications. And when you do that, you're going to just say overall which school you want to be in. So if you're not sure whether you want to go into the business side or more of the marketing side within those pathways, that's okay at this point. You can just say which one you want to be in. However, at our School of Health and Wellness, you are going to go ahead and say which of those pathways you want to be in. So whether you want to go towards more of doctor, all of that piece, you might go into the health where you're going to take your principles of biomed with PLTW. And then within the wellness is where you're going to get Miss Majors and your intro to body and mind wellness. So that's the only pathway that you'll have to pick between either health and wellness. Everyone else, you'll have that year to kind of explore the entire school of to know where you really want to be within it. Okay, the next one is massage therapy. So massage therapy would fit within our wellness strand. So really learning about the body and how it works and all of that. Another one that would fit in there that we talked about within our School of Health and Wellness would be a chiropractor and a paramedic. Those two came up quite a bit. That would both go really towards our health side. So a question that just came up, would a student interested in a theater communications focus fall under DIT also? And our theater specifically is also within our creative design stream, so it would fit in that pathway. As you guys have any questions, throw them out there. Students, feel free to ask your teachers to put a question in there for you. So another one that we had come up a lot was a tattoo artist. So a tattoo artist, teachers, which pathways do you guys see a tattoo artist falling? So there's actually several different places that a tattoo artist could fall. It could fall within that service industry because you're providing a service. It would be the creative design because you're doing the art pieces. If you're wanting to own your own company as a tattoo artist, and you might also go into business. So it's really kind of the focus that you want to put as you're in your high school career to know where you want to go. And at that, just because you might be in the business pathway doesn't mean that you can't take classes everywhere else. One that I've got a lot is music production. A lot of kids want to go into music production, which is awesome. So you need those business skills that you'll learn in the School of Business and Communications, but you'll also need those music skills that you'll need from Mr. Elam in our creative design pathway. Can students take classes in multiple pathways? Yes, that's exactly what I was just going over. So you can pick whichever classes you want to take within your pathway. The only thing that you are going to be required to take within that is your technical core. And that's really just going to help focus all of your learning in your classes throughout there to help understand what that pathway is really all about. Sign language interpreter, I would say that would probably fall within our education and our public service. So really learning how to communicate with people and then taking it a step further with that sign language emphasis within there. We've already talked about cosmetology. Real estate was another one. Yeah, communications would be great for that as well, Miss Lee, good call. But real estate agent really falls into our business pathway, but it can also fall other places. Miss Lee is actually, she does some real estate on the side, so she's a great resource that if you really want to get into that, feel free to go to her. Awesome, thank you, Miss Haberman. And then I think the last one, we had someone ask about being a lawyer. So fashion design falls in with our creative design and our design innovation technology. And then lawyer, that fits within our human services, within that public service. A lot of communications classes you'd probably want to take as well. And then the last one was a profiler for the FBI and the BAU, and that would go within our criminal justice strand within our public service that fits in human services. So any kind of police officer, any of those criminal justice based would really fit in School of Human Services. Who feels certain they're going to be a professional athlete? I would encourage you to probably either go into business and communications, because as a professional athlete, you're really going to have to learn how to brand yourself. You're going to have to learn how to do that so that you can get sponsorships and different things like that as you're beginning your career, but also the School of Health and Wellness. Most athletes go through lots of injuries in their life, and you're going to need to know how to take care of your body to make it strong, and you're also going to be able to help your teammates throughout that as well. Yep, and personal trainer, a lot of athletes go into personal training as well. So all of our NCAPs, our CTEC, all of those off-campus programs all fit perfectly within our pathways. We've actually kind of aligned them within our pathways. They are all in our on that website that you guys explored last week. There's an off-campus program, so if you're looking for a specific one, you can go there, learn a little bit more about them. But NCAP specifically fits within our business, and then all of our others are identified on that website if you have a specific question about them. Those are great questions. Are there any other questions that you guys have coming up about enrollment or pathways? We are super excited about them, guys. Or any teachers, anything that you guys want to say to the 8th graders as you've got their captive audience right now?
I would just like to highlight what Ms. Martin said earlier, and that is that it doesn't matter which pathway you go into. Let's say you go into the health and wellness, but you really like to draw, or you really like to play your instrument in band, or you like to sing in a choir, or you like to be in theater. It doesn't matter what pathway you're in. If you still have other interests that lie in other pathways or in other areas, you can still be parts of those activities and parts of those groups. You know, those of you who are strong athletes, you absolutely can keep physical education as part of your 4 years while still completing your technical cores in a different pathway. So don't let your pathway limit you to your full, well-rounded experience while you're going to Winnetonka or any of our high schools.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Elam. Any questions that we've got? Remember, next week during this same time, you guys are actually going to be telling us which pathway you think is most interesting. And you might be saying, well, there's a couple that I'm really interested in. I'd be okay with being in either design, innovation, technology, or business communications. And that's okay. There's going to be a way for you to tell us that as you're identifying these so that we can make sure that we can get you in the right place. And then you'll also be able to answer why you want to be in there. That'll help us as we're getting everything set up for next year, getting you, and then in the next couple weeks, all of the counselors from Winnetonka will be coming over to help you look a little bit more deeper at your elective options so that you can actually get enrolled in your classes, and then we'll start getting schedules pulled, and then before you guys know it, you'll be Griffins, which we're excited about. We're ready to have y'all up here. All righty. Well, if there are no more questions, then we will hand it back to your all's teachers. Thank you guys so much. And students, if you guys have more questions, feel free to reach out to me. My email is on that website. You can continue to put questions. Go back and look at that website. I encourage you to look at it with your parents. And you can also tell them if they have any questions. We actually have a parent meeting this on Wednesday evening. that they are welcome to come to get any of your questions answered from either me or Dr. Johnson, our principal up here. So thank you guys so much, and we'll see you guys next year. Thank you, Tonka teachers, for stepping out, and we'll see you again on Thursday.